James Senegal once said, "Technology helps us become more efficient and productive, but our business still has a lot of art as opposed to strictly science." Are you tinkering, self-learning, self-improving, experimenting with home labbing? And do you want to become a skilled IT expert? Well, you've found your new home. This is the Home Labbers Podcast. On this show, we'll interview top experts and dig deep to learn how they got started and how they trained their IT skills as a master martial artist in a Shaolin temple. And you know what? We're going to have fun along the way. This is the Home Labbers Podcast. And now your host, Vian Du.
All right, let's do this.
Edwin, welcome to the podcast. So excited to have you on the podcast. Before we dive into the home labbing topic, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm Edwin Arcilla. I'm based out of San Diego, California. I've been in the tech industry for about 22 years, going from support all the way up to doing pre-sales, and currently here at Oracle as an Oracle Cloud VMware Solutions Architect, and still playing around with VMware for more than 13-ish years going on now.
How did you get started with home labbing, and where did you get the idea?
So I got started with home labbing. There's actually two stories. One of the first times was that my friend had a home lab in his home, and he was running Exchange servers, RDP servers, DNS. I mean, he was running the whole thing back in the early 2000s, and he was doing some home remodeling, and he asked if I could host his servers in my house. So that was my soft introduction into home labs, and this was early on in my IT career. So it helped me learn how to put things together. So when he brought all the servers to my house, and he had everything up and running, he had, I think it was I can't remember right now, but he had about 5 or 6 servers running out of my house. And he had all the networking, he configured everything. And the way I would learn is that if something were to break, he would have me fix it. So he'd talk me over through the phone, like, "Hey, can you run this command?" I'm like, "I have no idea what I'm doing." So, but he would teach me. It was really like hands-on. It was literally a hands-on lab that I had no idea how to do. I mean, at this time that he was hosting his servers at my house, I was just a help desk technician for when I was working at my current company at that time. So, working with DNS, Exchange, and like being able to RDP into these servers, I'm like, man, this was all new to me. So that's how I got into it. But then how I got more into the home lab that I'm running now, it was an evolution of finding some old servers, some really old servers on eBay, and just wanting to get more hands-on time with essentially installing vSphere 5. I wanted to get more comfortable in installing that. And, for a long time, I didn't touch the home lab stuff. I was moving around the United States, and more recently, I think within the past 3 years, the home lab that I have now, I wanted it to sit on my desktop and not generate too much noise, too much heat, but I still wanted to be hands-on. Because I changed my role from more of like the hands-on engineering support to more of a pre-sales role. And I know that a lot of my friends that have gone into pre-sales, they say like you kind of lose some of your technical chops when you're used to doing hands-on every single day. You go into going from hands-on keyboard to doing PowerPoint presentations, talking to customers, which is not a bad thing, but at the same time, there's only so many conventions you can attend and technical discussions you can attend. But if you're not really, at least for me, as long as at least, if I'm not hands-on doing it like every day or every other day or even weekly, there are things I tend to forget. And, I found that it was an investment. It was a good investment in going into the role that I was going into.
Wait, your friend had a home lab, his home lab was in your home, and you were fixing his home lab.
Yeah, I was babysitting his home lab. Like, oh, so you brought it to my house so I could fix it. So, but he was my mentor. He was, I guess, my tech mentor. Because before I got into IT, I was working on cars. I was a mobile electronics specialist. So anything 12 volt, and I just loved anything in and out of cars, trucks, automobiles, like stereo systems, GPS, you name it. Like I was just all about the whole 12 volt world at that time. So he was like my mentor getting out of automobiles into tech. So he was that guy for me.
So you already mentioned, but what were the reasons behind this? You wanted so badly your home lab.
I didn't want to break the equipment at my company. I didn't want to make any mistakes. And I kind of just going through the installation procedures and configuration procedures to me. So I'm also a musician. For me, it's kind of like rehearsing. So when you're rehearsing a song, or if you want to learn a song, you want to get it down. To me, it's kind of the same way in tech where I know I've installed vSphere a gazillion times. Like, are there different ways I can do it? Can I automate it? How can I? So I try to do different things and try to make it fun. And I can't do that on production equipment. I can't do that on my company's time. Plus, my companies that I worked for in the past, they didn't have environments for us to learn. It's essentially, hey, we got this PO signed, and we have this equipment. You need to install it. It's like, oh man, it's like there's no prepping, there's no testing, there's no lab environment. You're expected to perform flawlessly.
Very similar to mine. So home is a gym or Shaolin temple where I train my skills and prepare for real life situations.
Yeah, that's a good approach. That's a good viewpoint right there. It definitely helps. And technology is changing. I mean, tech is constantly changing, and there's always something new to learn. And a production environment is sometimes not the best place to learn. Or it could be the best place. I don't know, but you don't want to deal with the pink slips.
What was your first home lab project?
So my first home lab project, it was very it was very, very humble. From the ground up. So I'm not talking about my friend's home lab that he was hosting in my house, but the one that I did on my own first. I just wanted to see if I could RDP using my phone into a server that was virtualized in my bedroom. So if I was out at the mall or out at a restaurant, just being able to RDP into, I just wanted that was just my goal, and it's very, very simple, but that was just something I felt like I wanted to do.
Tell us more about your first home lab. How many servers and what software you were using?
Sure. Oh man, so there were, I was using, I think they were I had two HP DL360s. I think they were Gen 2. So you couldn't put that many drives in there. I didn't have a storage unit. So, and I was virtualizing the storage. So the VMs were really, really small. They were chugging along. I was running, it was vSphere 5, so vCenter 5, and just using some Windows test images as like, my test VMs. I was running, and I didn't have like a legit switch or router. I was mall. I was using a DDWRT flashed Linksys router, so it was kind of like trying to mimic something a little bit more advanced than a traditional consumer router.
How your home lab looks right now, and what do you have now there?
So what I have right now is a Supermicro 5028D TN4T. So it's a single server, but it's loaded with RAM and kind of loaded with storage, about 2 terabytes of flash, 128 gigs of RAM. But it's a fully nested environment. So I just have ESXi 7 running, and then from there have a jump host, and then I have a nested VCF environment. I think I'm running VCF 401, and I've used VLC. What is it called? The VCF Lab Commander to deploy it. Running Eero for the home stuff, and then running a Netgear wireless router with a Cisco SG300 to do the switching. I picked stuff because I was cheap on. I was skimping on my networking gear, so I was just getting consumer grade stuff. I found the SG300 on OfferUp, so I think it was like $30-something, and I know I could get a little bit. So the thing is, I would consider myself more of a VMware guy than a networking guy. But now my role is I have to understand more of networking and understanding the whole stack, not just VMware. So I would say that it's part of an evolution of using consumer grade stuff or entry level stuff, and then bumping up to that next level. I know I have friends and coworkers that they're running ridiculous equipment in their home labs, but right now, like for my budget, it's not it's not set aside for that right now.
How much knowledge have you gained while having a home lab?
It's given me confidence in, like, whenever I have to show certain features, or if I have to remember features that I need to talk about with customers, or even if I have to do a demo, just say like on like distributed firewalling, I could just jump into NSXT and do what I need to do. I know I could easily do it through a hands-on lab, VMware hands-on labs, but there's just something about spinning up your own environment and being able to just pop into the other room and do what you need to do. It's a lot faster, and you can break it, you can fix it, and yeah, I pretty much have just gained more confidence in what I need to talk about.
What is the most memorable home lab story you like to share?
So not necessarily memorable, but so we homeschool our kids. Or my wife homeschools all of our kids, and I work from home, and this was before I had another wireless extender branching off of what we're doing for the home. So I have all these hotspots around the home, and they're doing some, I forget the project they were working on, but they needed to have an internet connection. I think they were on Zoom or something like that. But I pretty much took down their connection for a couple hours. I didn't even know it until I went downstairs. They're like, "Oh man, we've been having trouble with the internet the whole day." I'm like, "You should have told me." And I was doing stuff up here in the lab in my office, and so from that day, I got another wireless extender, and then I extended it out the home lab, so it's not running off of the home stuff. So even though I still have an internet connection, it's completely separate. It's a completely separate environment, just so I don't take them down. So that's what I get for being cheap and trying to do everything at a minimal cost. So
How did you fund your home lab?
Just saving up. I've saved up for this home lab. I truly believe in I guess dedicating finances to yourself, educating yourself. So whether that be through books, through training videos, or like audiobooks, I have a set amount of funds that I can pour back into myself for educational purposes. So whether that be like exams or whatever, a couple years ago, just saving up for this and really having that funding set aside for it, I knew it was going to help me in the long run, in the long term.
What do others think about you when they see your home lab?
So the only ones that really see what I do are other engineers, other architects in the field, or even coworkers. I've showed it to some of my coworkers of like what I've done. Like, hey, I just deployed VCF in my little home lab here, and they're like, and then what I get is like, why would you do that? How much RAM did you do? Why would you? But it's really this little tiny box, and it's running all these, it's running the whole VCF stack. First things they ask is like, how much RAM did you put in there? Like, as much as it will fit. Because I didn't want to generate heat and loud fans on my desktop.
What is a home lab for you?
It's my dojo. It's my practice pad. Yeah.
What one piece of advice would you give for beginner home labbers?
I would say start small. You don't have to go big in your first home lab. As you get more into it, as you get more advanced, that's when you can start upgrading and spending more. But I think we all have to start small, because it can get pretty expensive unless you have a large sum of money already set aside for it. I would say start small.
Edwin, thank you so much for joining, and have a wonderful day.
But yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to the Home Labbers Podcast. Our passion is to interview the leading IT experts and get tech enthusiasts all the information they need to become an expert. So if you run at-home enterprise hardware and software, and you like tinkering and self-learning, then you've found your new podcast. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit up the website at vundo.tech, on Twitter at #VUndoTrending and #HomeLab. See you next time on the Home Labbers Podcast.